So as you can see, my workshop is back to being crammed full of tools because I've just wrapped up a 2-bed renovation in Newark that I bought several months ago as an investment. The next few minutes I'm going to walk you through the before, the messy middle and the finished result, and then we'll dive into the real numbers, the profit, the return, everything. Let's rewind to day one. So this is the state of the place when I picked up the keys. I was a bit tired and really smelly. Oh god, it stinks, let me move. But the living room had some lovely nicotine-stained magnolia walls, a ceiling that had dipped in from a previous leak, and a carpet that was stained to oblivion. It needed a proper deep clean. The kitchen was cheap, it was old, it was greasy, there was bacon fat everywhere, and the extractor fan didn't even vent, which probably explains why it was covered in grease. It also had a lift that went right through the ceiling into the upstairs bedroom. And in that upstairs bedroom, it wasn't awful, but it needed paint and carpets, and of course, a floor repair where the lift currently goes through. The main bedroom was similar, paint, carpet, a bit of cleaning, and the radiator needed replacing because it rusted well past its prime. But the bathroom, this bathroom, it was something else. The smell was just shocking. I had to wear a full dust mask for most of the clean out of it. Say full mask, I mean full mask. Absolutely reeks in there. The whole thing needed ripping out, the tiles, the bathroom suite, the floor. The floor had absorbed a lot of questionable liquid over its life. And the outside wasn't too bad, it was just overgrown. There was a very DIY outdoor toilet that worryingly drained straight into a water drain, which is definitely not how you're meant to do it. So it turns out that this was in fact draining into the gutter pipes, which I don't think the council would be entirely pleased with. But on the plus side, the electrics were mostly fine apart from the consumer unit. The windows were triple glazed, which is pretty rare to see, and there was a beautiful wisteria at the front, which really adds to the curb appeal, especially when trimmed. So it was time to get cracking. I got the keys and I started on the kitchen. This is quite an old design, I'm going to tear all of this out. I've obviously brought my essentials here too. Kettle, mugs, tea and a cookie. It took a bit of time to rip everything out, but once it was cleared, I managed to sell the lift on eBay for £1,000, which immediately disappeared again for the plastering the following week. But a plasterer is coming around a week on Friday to skim all of this ceiling. He's going to do all of the kitchen ceiling as well, because otherwise it'll look lumpy where the lift's been. I filled the hole left by the lift by installing new timber supports between the joists. I plasterboarded it below and added chipboard above, and got it all skimmed along with the rest of the ceilings in the house. And then I leveled the kitchen floor by removing all the old tiles and screeding over it, ready for the LVT to run straight through from the living room. The boiler was also replaced, and we had to run a new 22mm gas pipe because the old pipe was only 15mm, and it wasn't sufficient for a combi, unfortunately. But once the new boiler was in and signed off, I painted the whole house and got started fitting the kitchen, which was mostly from IKEA. So it was the base cabinets, the worktop, all the handles, the general fittings. Note to future self, don't follow the IKEA instructions and do the tap hole first. Always do it after. Had to move it along just so the tap hole was in the middle. But for the appliances themselves, I went for a bit more premium with better warranty, because I decided I'm probably going to rent this house out. So it was the fridge, the oven, the dishwasher, the hob, but the sink and the extractor were still from IKEA. They're pretty good. Unfortunately for the worktop, I had to add a timber splashback too, to cover a small gap. But once this was in, it still looked great. And after that, it was just the finishing touches. A proper tidy up, and then finally a windowsill that needed putting in, because previously it was tiles there. And here's how the finished kitchen looks. We've torn out everything that was in here before. Most crucially, the lift, replastered and painted it, and it's come out really nice. Got this plug socket put on. This is a double one, and I thought it'd be perfect for if someone had a table in here. And if they didn't and wanted a bigger fridge, for example, because that's just an under-counter fridge, we've got a plug socket for that. We've got our fridge freezer, extractor fan. Unfortunately, just a charcoal extractor fan was too difficult to run an outlet out, but it does pass inspection. A dishwasher, so it's still my dishwasher, and a washer dryer as well for the tenant. But one of the big expenses was the boiler replacement, because it definitely needed to be done, and I'm very glad I did it. But again, with the triple glazing, the insulation in here is very, very cheap. Moving on to the bathroom, so this took a lot longer than expected, because behind the tiles and under the chipboard floor was loads more black mould than I'd seen at first. So just pulled the toilet out, the shower out, and the sink out, and I can't tell you, the smell that's in here is absolutely disgusting. Yeah, just not good. Cigar box. 50 cigars in here. I'm guessing he liked to smoke on the toilet, which explains the yellow hue we have going on around the room. But once that was all cleared out and cleaned, I rebuilt the space with fresh plasterboard and new chipboard flooring. And I made sure it was moisture-proof plasterboard as well, the blue stuff. I did a fascia wall to hide the shower pipes at the back, got everything plastered, painted, floored, and started fitting the bathroom suite. The bath went in on its 7 feet, which is pretty unusual. But I still added a batten wall along the wall studs for extra support. Then came the vanity sink, the tiling all above it and all above the bath, the towel radiator, the bath panels, the shower at the back, the mirror, and then finally we're left with a space clean, usable, but most importantly, no longer smelly. We ripped out everything, new tiles, a rainfall shower with a square tub. I love these tubs because it's like the best of both in my opinion, where you get a bath and a shower, but a bit more space for a shower. Got a decent towel rail, and the water tank has gone, so loads more space in here. New toilet, new sink and vanity unit with an electric mirror. The rest of the house was pretty smooth overall. So mostly tear out, chipboard replacement where needed, painting, LVT flooring and carpet. And here's the master bedroom. So the first plan for this master bedroom was to tear out the walk-in wardrobes because they were a bit dated. But I thought first, let's just paint them and see what they look like. And they've come out super nice. So it's very nice, very light colour. I think this is sage green. The living room got new downlights on a dimmer switch, and I replaced all the interior doors with oak veneer ones, which made a huge difference to the overall look, especially with the satin black hardware. So straight away you can see that we pretty much tore everything out that was in here before. New plug sockets in with USB-Cs, replaced the consumer unit, so that's been signed off, and just generally tidied up the area in here, so it makes quite a nice cloak room. Moving to the outside, that DIY toilet was surprisingly solid.
Well, that's gone, that got torn out, and I was starting to chip away at the concrete, and I thought actually it'd make quite a nice plinth for barbecue, because otherwise it would just be a drop.
But in general, out the front and the back, I cleared the overgrown foliage and it made a massive difference.
So up front, we've painted, and probably the main thing that you see different, we've changed it to a nice kind of neutral grey. So this has changed, that's changed. We've left the windows in because they were triple glazed. But the main difference out is that we changed the pretty knackered old front door for a nice new composite one. And I got this one for £600 from greendoors.co.uk. So it was an ex-demo.
So here are some highlights of the finished place. Quick thanks to friends and family who helped out here and there, especially on the weekends. I was originally aiming to finish in just 4 months with working evenings and weekends, but in the end it took 6. I had to tools down for a couple of months due to some personal stuff, and that added to the holding costs, which you'll see in the numbers. But speaking of which, let's go through them. So the purchase price of the property that you might have seen before was £135,000. But to actually purchase this property, I had to pay solicitors' fees and stamp duties, which totaled £5,350. I got in before the April rise. The holding costs were a little bit higher than expected, as I said, 6 months, so it was £1,461. And this covered the insurance, the council tax, and the utility bills. But then the big number is the renovations, and the renovations actually cost overall £15,691. But the good thing here is that I actually run this through my business. So I'm VAT registered, and I managed to reclaim VAT back off that. So in the end, the renovations only cost £12,553 after I'd reclaimed. And so that means the total I've spent overall out of my own pocket is £154,364. And that is quite clearly a lot of money. But luckily I had the valuation done last week, and the estimated after renovation value of the property is £185,000, which is really good news for me, because it means if I sold it straight away, that's a £30,636 flip gross profit before any selling fees, so minus selling fees, which are usually 1% plus solicitors' fees, so maybe £3,000. But more importantly, I've added about £50,000 worth of value to the property since day one, because that's the difference between the after renovation value and the purchase price. Now these are just the headline figures. In part 2, I'll break down exactly where my money went, what I do differently to save time and budget, what the ROI is, and I'll show you how I'm planning to refinance this using the BRRR strategy. Subscribe so you don't miss it, or find it over here if it's already out. Catch you in the next one.